What is up, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga Live. Welcome to everyone joining us from the All Access. Shout out Spencer. He did a great job hosting that. But we've got a busy day today. A couple good guests, and we're going to get into to some of the biggest headlines, including JP Morgan, who missed earnings, down about 4%. Las Vegas Sands is your big winner of the day. Let me go ahead and get my Benzinga Pro pulled up. We're also going to be talking about some Tesla, some Lucid I see in the chat. Tiger Woods wants to look at GGPI. We will look at that. But yeah, you can see, so Tesla was down about 6-7% yesterday on the news that the Cybertruck is getting delayed again, right? And now the question is, when, if ever, are we going to see the Cybertruck? Some critics out there are saying they don't think they're ever going to see it. Let us know in the chat. What is your prediction, Zinger Nation, for when will we see the Cybertruck? At some point in 2023? After that? Surprise sometime in 2022? I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know. There was that one, I mean, in New York, I think like a year ago, Elon Musk was seen driving a Cybertruck, so I believe they're out there. Question is, does Tesla have the production capabilities to mass produce them to sell them? But yeah, I mean, if you go back on the chart all the way to November of 21, it's just been choppy. Tesla has, right? We're looking at the dailies here, so the past 2 months or so. You can see it kind of trading in this range, up to around $1,250, all the way down to around $900, but hasn't really broken either of those levels. Invest more in the chat saying Cybertruck will go into limited production later this year. They're close to done with their Austin factory. Okay, yeah, I know. So Tesla's supposed to put out a roadmap at some point in the next couple weeks in regards to the Tesla Cybertruck. So we'll have some more insight once that roadmap comes out. Then the question is, are they able to stick to that? Are they able to stick to the roadmap that they put out? Hey, chat, if you buy 30 shares, then buy 30 shares, then sell 40 shares, then sell 20 shares, all that is considered one day trade, right?
No.
I don't think so. Spencer's saying no.
No, what? What's the question?
He said, hey, chat, if you buy 30 shares and then buy 30 shares, so I guess 30 plus 30 equals 60, and then you sell 40 and then you sell 20, so he has net 0 shares now. Does that count as all one day trade? I don't think so.
In terms, wait, is my mic on?
I don't know.
Aaron, is my mic on? It is? Okay. In terms of I think he's asking in terms of the PDT rule. In terms of the PDT rule, you're only allowed X number of round. They call it like a round trip trade, right? So you buy and sell. That's a round trip. So you can make X number of round trip trades. So like a buy in itself is not a round trip trade. So it counts as more than one trade on the round trip. I'm sorry, it counts as one trade on there. In your case, I think it would be two.
So take
Wait, in that case, can you bring that back up? I think in that case it would be two. Wait.
Right. It's because yeah, let me find it. So take an analogy to a swimming pool, right?
Okay.
One length is one way down the pool. Right. A lap is there and back.
Right.
To complete the trade, you need to buy, which is one way down the pool, and then sell, which is the other way back. This, in this case, is 2 laps because you're going buy, sell, buy, sell.
Right. So that's 2 trades to answer
2 laps.
To answer the question there. This is a nice question. A little bit confusing, but I hope we answered that.
That is a good question.
Wait. So okay, what's on the docket for today, Aaron? We got Hot Stocks Luke or what?
That's a good question.
Do we even know?
I was just asking him to come over here. I don't know.
Are we doing trivia? I don't even know if we're doing trivia.
No, yeah, I don't think we're doing.
I don't think we're doing trivia today.
Well, we could do our own.
We haven't done a guess that chart all week. We should probably do that.
Yeah, we can also play Wordle.
So we have Kevin Kelly joining us from Kelly ETFs. He launched his own firm like yesterday. So we'll talk to him about that. And then we got producer Rohan and his
potentially
and his friend who drove a Rivian. Is that right?
Yeah, supposedly,
allegedly.
We've got some big headlines too today, just to get through, Spencer. I mean, on the docket, we got to talk about the Las Vegas Sands.
Yeah, Macau.
And to me, I have a take on that. And then I was open the show by talking about the Tesla Cybertruck. I don't know. Like, are we ever going to see the Cybertruck being produced?
Yeah. Oh, will we ever see it? Yeah.
In 2022?
Oh. That's the question?
Well, ever? I mean, I don't know. I think like the more it gets delayed, the less likely it is to ever.
Here's a conspiracy theory. Do you think the feedback on the design was so brutal that they are just totally going back to the drawing board?
Well, I don't know, because some people love it, and I think they were going.
Really?
I think they were going for something polarizing.
It looks like the Batmobile,
and then it just gets more people to talk about it. I think it's honestly kind of genius marketing. I just don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. Will we see the Cybertruck in production this year? Odds are no. I'm going to go ahead and say.
Someone said the chat it's supposed to be by the end of the year there'll be limited production or something. Try to find that comment.
I would sell that. I would take the under.
All right, here we go. Gene's asking about Roku on a 2 to 5 year outlook. This is what I like. If you're gonna ask about a stock, give us a time frame that you're looking at it. Let us know if you're looking at it for a trade, a nice little swing trade, or more of a long term.
Okay. Okay. So how far back are you going right now? What is that?
This where my cursor is right now is 27 or 2018.
Okay, that's 5 years. Right, 4 years. Sorry.
3, yeah. 3 or 4.
No, Christian. It's just a rumor that Tesla. They didn't actually confirm anything as far as timeline. That's sort of why people are talking about it right now. Okay, Roku, 2 to 5 year outlook. I think the fundamental. I mean, I haven't looked at the fundamentals on Roku for a hot second here. They got past the YouTube nonsense, right? The Google nonsense where they were gonna YouTube was off the platform or whatever. I like Roku long term. I guess in this case, 2 to 5 years would qualify as long term. Yeah, I would totally be in the bull camp on Roku, because the industry that they're in, streaming, I think people assume just because certain demographics, just as young people are cutting the cord and are streaming, doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's doing that. And like e-commerce, for example, right? The number that Amazon always cites in their antitrust stuff is that e-commerce is a minority of retail sales, right? In the U.S., a majority of retail sales happen in person, and that's a stat that Amazon clings to. And I think that you can say the same for probably streaming, right? Is as much as people are cutting the cord, there are still more cable people who have not cut the cord than those who have. But the trend is accelerating, and it will continue to do so. So I would like any company that facilitates cord cutting, and I would not like any company that hinges on the cable distribution, the cable bundle model, right? So Roku would fit into the former category, and I'm down with that. So 2 to 5 years, I'm bullish. Chart looks pretty bad though, I'll give you that, but.
I was just gonna say. I mean, if it were me, I would wait a little bit to see if we get that reversal. If we start coming back up, then I'd get in. Then,
wait, did Elon Musk? Wait, what did he ask us?
He said he'll add sheep soon.
Really,
Tesla
Elon?
Payments.
Damn.
Heard it here first.
Why is Elon so obsessed with like phallic stuff?
That's a good question.
And like he made like the Tesla. It's like the Model S, the 3, the X, and the Y. Like, come on, man.
I think he just has the sense of humor of like a 15-year-old.
Maybe he does. I have no idea, man. He's a genius. He's a literal genius. But the guy's got a sense of humor of a 12-year-old. Whatever. By the way, did you guys miss yesterday's show? If you missed yesterday's show, you should check it out. We had a very rare in-office guest, in-studio guest, Al Harrington, the NBA legend. Although he was never an all-star, which I thought he was. 16-year career in the NBA, Pacers, Knicks, Warriors. He was sitting right here yesterday, and he hung out with us and talked about cannabis. He's got his own business. So,
Good for Al.
yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. I love when I love when athletes are, or not athletes. I love when celebrities are like more than just like shills. You know what I mean? Like I think we're moving past the age where celebrities are just get paid to endorse like stuff. I think now they're going to have more skin in the game. You have celebrities have their own production companies and VC firms and cannabis companies, and I'm for that. I'm for that. Thank you, Toffee. I appreciate that. See you later, Dylan. Wait a minute. Justin, thanks for the reminder. Hey, where is the samples that Al left?
You're asking me?
No. Actually, I know that you didn't take them. I'm asking you because you and I are the ones that should have gotten some.
Yeah.
And they're gone.
I can agree. Really? They're gone? Or
I don't know where they went.
All right.
Somebody over on that side of the office took them. And it wasn't Aaron and me. We were here. Justin, I have no idea how it was. They're gone.
The mystery continues.
Where is the Viola samples? Someone who's around, they can't really hear us because it's like around a wall. But we need to investigate this urgently. Because it was there, I saw it, and then I went back later, it was gone. So, someone in the chat earlier, like hours ago, said that I was high, and I was like, "You think I'm high at work? Are you kidding me? No, we're not gonna like do it on a stream."
Well, Elon did.
Right, that's true. I don't know, but no, we're not high. We haven't had the samples, so we don't know where they are. But we'll have to find them. We'll have to track them down today. I'm very much looking forward to our Rivian segment later, if that ends up happening, because I want to hear all about this car. I've seen pictures. It looks okay. I don't know if I love it, to be honest with you. But do we do mushrooms? No. I mean, I can't speak for him, but I'll just say no. I don't. Not. Wait, Easy Mike is saying my mic is being shit. Is that true? God damn it! I have one of those days. We don't have a producer right now, so we're just kind of running solo here, Aaron and I, which is fine, I suppose. That's how we do it.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's any other big headlines.
Yeah, casinos. Wait, do we get distracted off that? Macau,
yeah. I mean, so a few months ago, when was that?
It was September.
It
was September. And as I said this morning, if you missed it, wait, can I bring up your chart or do you want me to bring up mine?
You can bring up mine.
Okay. Yeah, Las Vegas Sands. So the headline today is that there are new rules coming from Macau. They're going to cap the number of casino licenses. They're going to lower the length of the license terms. But what today is an example of why the stock market loves knowing things and why it hates not knowing things. So what Aaron just referred to was back in September, there was several reports out of China that the Chinese government was going to take a new look at Macau and the casinos that operate there and maybe crack down on them in terms of regulation, maybe change the rules somehow. And if you go look at Aaron's chart, you can very clearly see. Let me actually bring up mine. I kind of prefer the white background, if I'm being honest with you. So let's share my screen and bring up my charts here. And I'll get LVS up there. So there's my chart. Not the gap. We don't want that. Okay. So on the daily, you can very clearly see in September, that huge move down, that huge volume spike and the huge move down, that is when that headline broke. The government wants to take a closer look at Macau. Macau is like operates like pseudo independently, right from China, like not really, but also like kind of sorta, or maybe on paper only. Anyway, the market did not like that at all. This is just Las Vegas Sands. You could look at Win as well. It hates not knowing stuff. Well, today, that unknown became a known. Oh, okay. That whatever they were gonna do, they just did it. Okay. Whether or not it, it ends up being a net positive or net negative is besides the point, frankly. And you can actually see Las Vegas Sands right now. We're at $42. Where were we in September of 21? $42. We just went right back to where we were. So it's a lesson in what happens when an unknown becomes a known, when the market gets clarity. That's all the market wants. It's clarity, right? It just wants to know things. And this goes for macro shit. This goes for economic data. It goes for the Fed especially. It just wants to know, right? That's why there was so much uncertainty about the Fed in the past couple months, because first they said there is inflation, but it's temporary, and then it's not temporary, and there was all this confusion about what that meant in terms of their policy. Well, they've been pretty consistent for the past couple, or I guess the last one meeting. But well, his testimony and then the hearing before that, they've been pretty consistent on that front. So the market just likes to know things. That's the bottom line here. And so today, all the casino stocks are higher because now we know what the deal is with Macau. You can look at Wynn, up 7%. Look at Melco, MLCO, which is up 16%. Lower price stock, though. MGM, which has some Macau exposure, is flat. It's notable. And I always like to look at Penn. Penn has zero Macau exposure. So the headline does not concern them in the least. And Penn is down 2.5%.
Penn's in an ugly downtrend here.
I know. It's brutal.
I might buy into Penn soon for a long term.
Well, yeah, so at a certain point, this becomes a great buy. I just don't know when that point is, to be honest with you. What's the valuation of this thing? What's the PE?
21 PE.
PE. I'm seeing a forward PE of 16.
Okay.
That's pretty reasonable. That's very reasonable. At a certain point, this does become a buy. We had a whole conversation on Pre-Market Prep this morning about Robinhood. It's the same idea, right? At a certain point, it becomes a buy. I just don't know when that point is.
I mean, yeah, Robinhood, it looks like it is.
No, but at a certain point, it gets attractive.
Oh, 100%. But it might be at $8.
I mean, yeah, yeah. You're right. I wish we knew the answer to that question.
I mean, SoFi too. SoFi's down to
I can't. Don't even tell me. Wait, what is it?
Below $13.
No. I cannot look at this because the more I look at it, the more I want to sell it. But no, I'm not selling. I know why I'm in this. I'm in this now. If they don't get the bank charter, then I'm shit out of luck. I'm screwed. Then yeah, if they don't get the bank charter, then I am selling. I will say that now. I am selling SoFi if they do not get that charter. But until then, I'm SOH, sitting on hands. That's what I'm doing. Can we look at DraftKings? Whoever asked that? Sure. Who asked that in the chat?
Holy cow.
Yeah, Ryan, don't worry about me, man. I know why I buy things. If I buy things for a trade or if I buy things for an investment, I know the difference. SoFi is an investment for me. I
did not know DraftKings had gotten this low.
I'm not sweating that SoFi just yet. But the bank charter will change everything, right? Wait a minute. Who asked about DraftKings? Just so I can give them acknowledgement. I can't find it in the chat. Forget it. Anyway, DKNG. This is, I don't know. Oh, Easy Mike asked about that. Let's go to a weekly on that. Holy cow. It looks like it wants to give back all of 2020's gains at this point. Look, the COVID low was $10. Not even that far away from that.
I'd buy DraftKings at $10 all day long.
Me too.
It was a spec, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd buy DraftKings at 10. Should we make a shopping list of all the things we would buy if they got to the single digits? I'd buy DraftKings at 10.
If they got to the single digits, all right, I'd buy Baba at 10.
No.
Or at 9.
No, I meant stocks that were like relatively close. Baba is not going to single digits. If Baba goes to single digits, we got problems. Or I mean, I don't have problems because I don't own that, but other people have problems, I assume. Yeah. Easy Mike, I also love college basketball.
Someone else was talking about the Terps in the chat the other day.
They were?
Yeah. I think it was Bull Bear Jeff. I don't know if he's out there today.
Really? What was he saying? I mean, the season's lost. Hey, producer AT, they're saying my mic is a bit crackly. I'm not sure if you can fix that for us. I'd appreciate that. They're saying my mic is like crackly on my end. I know we had this problem yesterday. It's like I've got a loose connection somewhere. I'm not really sure what's going on. Sorry about that, guys. Maybe Aaron will have to get under the desk here, and I don't know.
We will figure it out as we do at Benzinga. We find a way.
We find a way. Should we do a crypto update?
We should, Spencer.
All right, let's bring up the heat map and play our little video. Where's my heat map? There it is. Crypto. So we know Doge is up, right? We see that. 15% because Elon Musk. The rest of it looks pretty quiet. Near, we have to look at Near Protocol, up 4%. And guys, holler at me if my mic gets better or worse. Because Aaron's futzing right now with the wiring. Yeah, he's like literally all up in my foot right now. Anyway, back to the heat map. Okay, Near Protocol, we got to keep looking at that. It's up every day. It's up again today. Bitcoin flat, ETH flat. Solana in the red, Cardano in the green, Binance Coin in the green, Polkadot in the green. Doge is your leader. Elon Musk is your reason. Hey, wait, Doge at 19. When's the last time Doge was at 19? Doge up 11% in the last month. Okay. Good deal. Better now. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Aaron. Okay. This has been your heat map update. As a reminder, as always, you can get free Bitcoin. It is so easy. All you have to do is go to the Voyager app, download the app, use the offer code ZING, fund your account with at least $100, deposit at least $100, 100, make a trade. Any trade will do.
Make a wish.
And then make a wish after you make the trade or before you make the trade. And then they will send you $50 in Bitcoin. We should probably hit them up, though, and ask them if they can get some ETH or something like that, because ETH is Bitcoin is like too safe. That's what Logan said. That's what Logan Ross said, the co-host of our Moon or Bust show. Bitcoin's too safe for him. These kids these days.
I know, right?
These kids these days.
Bitcoin safe.
These kids are unbelievable. Too safe.
I think there are some good deals out there. Another one of your stocks down today.
I saw another thread that was like Bitcoin's for bankers. Like what?
Yeah, I don't know about
Wait,
that.
what stocks? What else? What is that?
Disney.
All right. Disney caught a downgrade. But the good news is I have
Wait, here's a game.
Boots on the ground.
Guess Disney's PE.
I looked this morning already.
Okay, because it was a lot higher than I would have guessed.
It's because of Disney Plus.
I would have thought, well, yeah. But Disney's almost given up all its gains during COVID. And in that time, Disney Plus became like the fastest growing streaming service ever.
I know, but they pulled forward all that growth. That's the thing, though. Is like when did Disney Plus launch? November of 19. I think it was November or October of 19, and they gave some guidance, some subscriber guidance right off the bat, and they just completely blew it away. But all they did was they just pulled forward their subscriber growth like a couple years. So, look,
this was a stock that like everyone loved after the COVID crash, but before the COVID crash, it was at $140 a share. It's currently at $150.
Yeah.
And in that time, like keep in mind how much, stocks like Apple have grown since the bottom of the COVID crash, right? Bottom of the COVID crash, or before the COVID crash, sorry, Apple's at $80. Now it's at 172.
Yeah. Disney is sort of a fickle one, not fickle, but it's weird because like the majority of its business is still the parks, right?
Is it really?
And it's still the movie. No, I'm saying like, okay, let's rephrase that point. Streaming is not the majority of its business, and yet streaming, it was the driver of this stock for probably 2 years, right? If you've been following Disney for a while, you remember in like 2017 or so, the only thing that Wall Street cared about with regards to Disney was ESPN. ESPN is bleeding subscribers, and then it became all about streaming and Disney Plus, and that was the only thing that the market cared about with regards to Disney. Even though it's not a majority of their business, it was their biggest growth segment, but it wasn't. Anyway,
what about the Disney cruise? How much of Disney's revenue is made up of the Disney cruise?
I don't know. I'm assuming very little right now. But here's the thing. I will have boots on the ground. I got word that my aunt has just left Disney. She's a diehard Disney fan, and one of my best friends will be at Disney in 2 days.
I mean,
I can do some channel checks for us.
Doesn't matter what's going on in regards to COVID. As long as it's open, Disney's going to be packed, right? I would never go to Disney expecting it to not. And I say that to someone who's never been.
Wait a minute. Here we go from Christian. This is valuable content here.
That's what I'm saying. I would never expect it to be. I mean, Florida in general, right? You go to Orlando. I don't know about the one out in California, but you go to the one in Orlando right now. I'm sure it's just packed as always.
I don't even know. We were asked this morning about this. Like Dennis asked if Disney's at full capacity, and I have no idea, honestly. I'm sure it probably is. It's Florida, right?
I'm sure they're having staffing issues.
Yeah. Oh, good call, Aaron.
Yeah,
what if Disney has to like cut out? They wouldn't cut hours. They would never do that. But like, I don't know.
If like lines were worse and stuff like that because they didn't have enough staff.
Good call. Ryan says Orlando is packed. Yeah.
That are saying he's still short arc. How's SARK doing?
Blast off mode.
It's up.
The problem with SARK, and speaking of ETFs, this will be a good segue into our next guest here, Kevin Kelly. But
why do you think
the problem with SARK though is even though like the idea has been right, shorting Kathy has worked because of the. And it's not anyone's fault, but like the financial engineering of the ETF, the way it's structured, the way it uses swaps to get that short exposure to Kathy, the returns, even if like the idea is right, the returns are never going to be as great as they would be if you just shorted ARK on your own. It's because the fees on these.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't want to actually like short sell.
Right.
Or have to deal with the option contract.
Sure. Yeah, buying SARK is the easiest way to get short exposure to Kathy, without a doubt. But again, like the structure of these, it will eat into your returns a little bit. Unfortunately, that's just kind of the way. It's the way swaps work, and SARK owns swaps on. I believe they own swaps on ARKK.
I think there are a lot of good deals out there right now. I don't know if ARK is one of them, but I'm going to be looking to add some of these kind of names that I think are at a deal right now to my long-term portfolio.
I think
maybe some names within ARK.
Well, I think Kevin Kelly has some ideas here.
All right.
Because he's got a couple ETFs, new ETFs that he just launched. If you don't know Kevin Kelly, longtime veteran on Wall Street, he just launched his own firm, Kelly ETFs. He's got a few ETFs here, and the reason I love talking about ETFs is because you can use them to express a broad point of view on something, right? And I would rather talk about whether an industry or a sector is a buy or a sell than a specific stock, frankly. So without further ado, let's get Kevin on the show here. Kelly ETFs. Kevin Kelly is the founder and the CEO. There he is.
Hey guys,
how we doing?
I'm loving the conversation, especially when you're talking about SARK, and it just highlights nothing's for free, right? So you're either going to pay through the swaps that are in the underlying of the ETF, or if you want to go put spreads, that's going to cost you money, or it's just really hard just in general to put on these positions. So the ease and liquidity of SARK is actually the nice aspect of it, because you can absolutely get short it the other way. If you get short Kathy Wood's ETFs on your own, you're going to have borrowing costs anyways, right? Because you have to borrow the ETF from somebody else, and that could be really high, right? So we've seen that in the past, and you don't know if someone's going to buy you in or not. So if you want to remove that uncertainty, you can go into SARK. So I love how you guys just cover like what ETFs just do in general, and that they're just a tool for your portfolio. That's all they are, for you to espouse your market view. And so you guys, that's what I love about Benzinga and you guys, is you guys think about it the right way.
Nothing is free. Thank you, Kevin. Nothing is free. That should be stapled on everyone's forehead.
Exactly.
Nothing is free. Maybe the closest thing you can get to free is like something like VU, but that's a whole other can of worms probably. So Kevin, you just launched a couple ETFs yourself. So why did you do that? Why now?
Yeah.
And how do you decide like what ETF to launch? Because yours are of the thematic variety.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're bullish? These we'll get into what they are, but does that mean you're bullish these themes just because you launched an ETF on it?
Yeah. So we're only going to come out with stuff that we would want to own ourselves, right? So the way to think about it is we think every investor should have access to these strategies. And what's really nice is we're trying to give you that pure play exposure. So you mentioned you want like access to a sector, right? And the problem with a lot of ETFs is there's cross pollination. So if we just take, for example, like residential, right? Everybody knows rents are going up. There's single family rental companies now out there. They're doing exceptionally well. But if you look at the leader in the category, it says it's a residential and multi-sector ETF. And it includes not only residential names like apartments, but it includes like healthcare names, and it includes like self-storage. And so you don't want that. So that's not pure play exposure to the residential sector. So we came out with the ETF that can give you that access if you want it, right? So it's got single family rentals, it's got apartments, it's got student housing and manufactured housing. And so those are by definition, according to NAREIT, the subsectors of the residential and multifamily sector. So if you want to gain access, this is a great tool and avenue to consider, right? So you can have that pure play. So when we look at the marketplace, you have to look under the hood of ETFs. And so the whole idea here is we're going to give you that pure play exposure. And if you don't like the sector, we're giving you the pure play where you can short it. Because if you went short that other ETFs that have that, you may be short residential, but self-storage goes up and it negates your thesis and you didn't capture the returns that you should have. So that's why we've come out with the ETFs we've come out with, is to give not only retail but institutional investors access to the pure play exposures.
All right. So what you're referring to is your residential and apartment real estate ETF. The ticker is RESI, RESI. So what exactly is in that?
So what's in that is single family rental names like Invitation Homes, right? That's in there. American Homes for Rent. Then you also have student housing names like American Campus Communities. You have apartment names like Avalon Bay. And so the whole idea and concept behind this, and you've got the investment case there, is that 43 million households in the United States today rent. Okay. And there's a demographic change, a thematic demographic change happening where we've got a new cohort of renters coming into from the 33 years of age to 42 years of age. They're starting to rent more. And that's because the world is flat and people are moving more, and jobs and uncertainty and just the convenience factor, right? So it's like housing is very expensive. We've seen the housing market go up, and the affordability to buy your own home has gone down. At the same time, you can get the convenience and technology of nice apartments, and it's experiential. And so we're seeing this demographic come into the market now that's leading to tailwinds, as well as the conveniences of just renting in general. Because some people, they don't want to deal with a leaky roof or a boiler goes out or, mowing the lawn or any of that. And so a lot of the housing stock is aging as well. So you actually have to update it, which is very annoying because, we went through 0809 and then that left a decade of not building. And so we've got an older housing stock coming.
I'm also wondering if there's like a demographics play involved here. Obviously you mentioned, housing is insanely expensive, and frankly, most of that is the biggest barrier right now is the down payment, right? Because rates have been low, but rates are increasing.
Yep.
Right. So rates are going up. Let's just play ball for a second and assume that the down payment doesn't go down while the rates are going up, and then you're left with a crazy down payment and high interest rates, right? And so the housing becomes even more affordable. I assume that would be obviously a thesis here. But then the other side would be like if housing becomes more affordable, right?
Yeah. So what? Yeah, I think you're thinking about this in the right way. Okay. So this is all for rental, right? Areas.
Right.
And so what's happening is right now, if rates go up as they have, we're seeing on the 30-year mortgages, they're at the highest it's been since March 2020. And is that a coincidence? No, that's like when the pandemic started, and we're going back to that, right? So now the financing costs are going up. So when financing costs go up, the amount of house you can buy goes down, right? Because more of your money is going to go into servicing the 30-year mortgage that you have, as opposed to the house. And so if you're a family of three, you need the bigger house, you need more house. And so what on the converse side is you could go and do a single family rental that's the same price or less than what your mortgage would be, and you could start saving up more if you want to, or just see how the uncertainty happens around rising interest rates.
Yeah. You're right, and I didn't really close the circle there. So the idea would be like, the more unaffordable housing becomes, the more and longer people rent. That was just to close the loop.
Yes, correct, exactly. And there is a cohort of people that never want to buy; they only want to rent. So it's pretty interesting because the conveniences, like I said, they don't want to pay the property taxes. They don't want to, pay for the gardeners. They don't want to pay for. So you've got this mindset now of people that they want the conveniences of it. And the older generation, it's funny. This comes out within the sub industry blogs that you can read, or the magazines and coverage of this, is that the older core cohort of empty nesters, they want to downsize and they want better conveniences, right? They don't want to keep up with their house. Managing a house is difficult. I live in Denver, Colorado suburb. Listen, when my furnace went out, I spent 2 hours trying to get it back up so I had hot water when it was like 20 degrees.
You're exactly right. I'm at the age now where my friends are starting to buy homes, and my one buddy is it is one endless cost after it. It never stops with him, and I feel for him, but like it never. It never stops. And there's other costs you don't see, right? There's the closing costs, and then there's the furnace, and then there's a leak in the shower head pipe, and all of a sudden you got mold in your bathroom. It's like it never ends. But I want to move on from the housing market for a second and talk about this other ETF, this travel ETF you've got. This
Yeah.
one's interesting timing here. So the ticker is HOTL, hotel. Very clever. This is a travel ETF.
Yes.
Now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, you know what? I think, we're talking about, if we're talking about how do we put new capital to work? And what we're starting to see is that business spending on travel is near multi-decade lows, right? Like they're not wanting to spend money on travel because of Omicron and all that other, uncertainty around the travel and tourism, right? So how do you play the reopening trade? And over the next 1, 3, 5 years, when business spending starts to go up on, hotels, right? And in travel and leisure. Well, we think this is a great access point to gain access into that, because you're starting to see where over the last couple of years there hasn't been new build, right? So you're not out there building new hotels, right? So capacity is shrinking. Try going to a hotel and paying for it today, and tell me how much you're paying for it. It is very, very expensive because no new supply is coming online when demand is starting to increase. So it's a follow the money, right? People are going to be spending a lot more on hotels. They're wanting staycations. They're not wanting to get on planes. So we think this is a great, great, great play over the next 1, 3, 5 years as business spending and leisure spending starts to go up. So this is a great economic barometer. So if you want to say, hey, is the economy rebounding? How do we play the reopening trade? How do we play the economy? This is it, because it captures various income spends across the spectrum. It's a great economic barometer, not only from leisure, but also business. So you're going to get that dual component. If you want to play it via airlines, that's tough because they're a heavily regulated industry. There's cancellations that can get choppy. I mean, remember Warren Buffett used to never buy them because they always went bankrupt. So then let's look at cruises. It's a very niche traveler, right? And leisure traveler, like businesses aren't really spending on that. So if you want to think about when is the economy back, look at HOTL, and that could provide you a good barometer of how the economy is doing. So that's really how we think about it. But also at the same time, these have been beaten down so much just in sentiment alone, and with limited capacity and demand coming on. Everybody wants experiential, right? So this is a great experiential play because you can even see we have lodging platform services like Airbnb in there.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, the Airbnb. That's the third largest weighting in there. So I appreciate that because it's not a quote unquote hotel ETF, or it's the whole sector, right?
It's the whole sector. So you're getting lodging platform services, right? And they're the only pure play lodging platform service, right? They don't focus on delivering food to you or doing other crazy things that tech companies that are in the space. This also incorporates the REITs. So what it incorporates is the vacation rental companies, timeshares. It incorporates the REITs that actually own the hotels. It includes the C Corps, which are your Hiltons, your Marriotts, which actually just brand the hotels and provide the services and get a fee from the people that own the actual hotel. So they get like 10 to 15% services. So a lot of hotels that we know, they could switch overnight to a different brand.
Something that I want to address here, and it can apply to any of your ETFs. It can apply to the Resi, the hotel, or even the CRISPR one you have. Is how are these ETFs constructed? How are they managed? I'm assuming they're based on an index somewhere, or maybe they're not. I don't know.
Yeah, no, they're index based, right? So rules based methodology. It is an affiliate company. We own it. We self index, so we call them strategic indexes. So what they do is they actually go through and they span the developed market universe for hotel. And so you're going to get global names in there as well, traded, over in Europe. So that's the nice aspect when it comes down to it. But it's all rules based. You don't need to worry about me picking names, which I think are going to do better or not. So I think that's the way to think about it.
The hotel just trade is just interesting to me. I mean, I've been like booking a few hotels lately for some travel I have planned this year, and I can confirm what you just said is they're insanely expensive right now. But I am worried, Kevin, that like, what if business travel never gets back to where it was? The tourism is not enough to counteract that.
Yeah, I think you're thinking about this exactly the right way. This is dependent on business travel rebounding. And so if we take a step back, businesses need to adapt to the current market environment that they're in, because they need to be, their earnings, they're trying to generate business. Everybody wakes up every day and goes to work, and it's what we do in that. So the businesses are actually starting to have off sites at the hotels, right? So if they've got a bunch of remote workers, and all of a sudden, when we go to remote working, now they're holding off sites for their company employees at hotels, and you're starting to see people wanting to go back to conferences, to doing business. Like, businesses want to actually interact with their service providers and their colleagues, their partners, right? So in my industry, there are tons of conferences. Everyone's like, are you going? Oh my gosh, we'd love to go. And everyone's just, there's this excitement about getting back to work, right? So you've got this pent up, like, innate human nature in us where it's getting back. And, when we were the Paleolithic man, we were in packs and we'd go hunt, gather, forage. It's the same thing today. We want to do that in the business world. We want to go hunt, forage, and gather with our colleagues in our space to grow. So I think it's going to come back. I think everybody's sort of over this, Omicron. We're heading 3 years into this pandemic. Everyone's like, okay, well, even if I'm vaccinated, I'm going to get it, but it's not going to be as bad. People want to go live their lives. And how do they live their lives? They go experience things. And how do they experience things? They stay at awesome hotels, and they travel, eat, see the world. And this is a great way to play that.
And then just the last question as we wrap it up, Kevin, is like, now you've launched these ETFs, but the onus is on you really to go out and sell the idea of them, right, to advisors and asset managers and et cetera. So like, how do you go about doing that? Because obviously, like, the goal here is, like, you're not doing this for your health. You need these ETFs to acquire assets. So you launch, I assume, as most ETFs do, with a seed, for some seed funding, right? But now you need to go out and you need to gather those assets. So like, how do you do that?
So I've been in the space for many, many years, right? I launched my first ETF in 2013. That ETF is now over $6.2 billion. If you look at the ETFs I sponsored back in 2018, one of them's at $1.5 billion. So I've got extensive relationships with advisors and investors. And so, it's talking with those advisors and investors about what's the differentiator. So let's take the CRISPR and xDNA one. What's the differentiator, right? So we talked about Kathy Woody earlier. She has ARCG. It's actively managed. It includes a bunch of stuff in the genomic sector. This one is a pure play way to get access to CRISPR and gene editing, which is going to displace old therapeutics, right? So before, how we used to treat ourselves is we would take a bunch of drugs and hopefully knock down the disease, right? And then get it into remission. Basically, what gene editing does is it goes in, it takes out the bad DNA, inserts good DNA, and then you're done. It's a one-time treatment, not multiple treatments. So follow the money is what I'm going to tell every investor and advisor that I know. Why would you get into xDNA? Because Pfizer, old legacy healthcare, just did a $1.4 billion deal with one of our top constituents in the xDNA index, right? Beam Therapeutics. Beam is going to go through Pfizer's list of drugs and say, we're going to take these 3 drugs and we're going to turn them into gene editing, and base editing is what they actually focus on, and then actually cure that disease. It's curing diseases on a one-time basis. And so you want pure play exposure because it's brand new and in its infancy, right? It's only been around for 10 years, really. And we still don't have the first actual FDA approved commercial drug. So this is a nice long-term play. I think this is a great way to think about venture capital. If you're going to be getting into CRISPR and gene editing names, you're essentially a venture capital investor. You're buying this and putting it away for 5, 10, 15 years and reaping the reward as the entire industry grows.
Okay, this is a great question. I was going to let you go, Kevin, but this is a great question from the chat. Let's try not to go on this for too long, but how do you create an ETF? So step 1, have an idea. right? Step
Yeah.
2, figure out if you passive or active. It's probably step 2, right? You tell me what's step 2 and beyond.
Sure. So step 2 is just seeing the real world applicability of that idea,
Yeah.
right? So is it a good idea? Okay, sure, maybe a good idea. Can you have the capacity of it? Can you run 10, 20 million dollars? Can you run $100 million, $2 billion, right? Who is your competitors, right? What would you be stacked against? Are you actually competing against other ETFs, or are you competing against mutual funds? Are you competing against private funds? And so it's looking at the landscape and how you're going to win in that landscape, and then going to say, okay, do I find an index company that can turn it into an index, and then do I find a partner that actually knows how to run, own, and operate ETFs, and then approach them and figure out how we launch that ETF. So I think the first idea is getting your competitive landscape, and then going from there in passive, active, then finding a partner in the space that knows it, because it is a tough space. I mean, it's hand-to-hand combat. If you're not willing to have a 3-year business plan and lose money every single day for a year, while you get your track record, then you don't belong in it. You need intestinal fortitude.
Then you can confirm that it's difficult to get rich as an ETF provider.
Yes, it's exceptionally difficult. You're going against State Street, Vanguard, iShares, and Invesco that have marketing budgets that will make your head spin. Those guys can distribute product like nobody's business. So your differentiator needs to be exceptionally high. I mean, it is difficult. You're better off opening up a restaurant. It's the truth.
Maybe that's true. Hey, but we love them, ETFs, because there's low fees for us, the end investor, and that's what matters.
And liquidity. That's what you want. You want in and out. You don't want anybody telling you what you can or cannot do with so you could buy it and own it for 10 seconds. You don't need anybody's permission. That's what I love about ETFs. It's the
liquidity and tax efficiency, all that good stuff. Kevin Kelly ETFs, always a pleasure, man. Have a good one. Have a good weekend.
Thanks so much. Cheers.
All right.
Have a great weekend.
Hey, we're running behind schedule again, Aaron. Why do we always do this? I don't know why we do this. Producer Rohan coming to us live from his basement. Can we get him on the show here, Producer Rohan?
Bro, it's not a basement. Just in my
you're
apartment.
in your kitchen? Are you in your kitchen right now?
It's the kitchen.
It's the kitchen. All right. Awesome.
But yeah, I'm here. Also have a guest joining me. He wanted to test his audio, but it looks like we're kind of out of time to do that. So let's just see if it works. Ladies and gentlemen, say what's up to Kevin Neather.
It works.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you guys doing today?
His audio works. Kevin, your audio works. I can confirm.
All right, sounds good. Cool. Thanks for having me, guys.
Cool. Thanks for coming on. I heard through the grapevine, and through the by that I mean through Rohan, that you got the chance to drive a Rivian. Is this true?
Yeah, it was actually yesterday. I had it, or was it 2 days ago? I don't know I don't know days anymore, to be honest. But yeah, I had a chance to check it out for about. We had it for about 4 hours, so it was a really cool experience.
Hell yeah!
Yeah.
Before we get to that, Kevin, why don't you just take a second to introduce yourself to the audience if they don't know you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Hey, my name is Kevin. I go by the Tech Ninja on the internet. I make content. I make YouTube videos and Instagram, social media, and all those things. And I'm known for my tech reviews, but I've been branching out into vehicles because, cars, basically technology on wheels at this point. So I've been covering cars recently, and just anything with an off and on switch is kind of what I cover on my YouTube channel.
What other cars have you ventured into besides the Rivian?
Yeah, so I personally own a Model Y, but before that I had a Model 3. I checked out the Mach-E, the new Bolt, and the Hummer, and the new Hummer. I was at the unveiling and had an opportunity to ride in that as well.
That's awesome. All right, so you're a Tesla guy, but what's your take your initial take on Rivian?
Yeah, the way I look at things, like the whole electronic car space is kind of interesting, where a lot of people are basically still unsure if they want to go EV, but they love Tesla. And I think they love Tesla because of the cool factor. And I think Rivian really taps into that cool factor. I mean, when we were driving the car around and parking the car, people were asking us questions and wanted to know more about the car. So I think Rivian really has that cool factor, and it also has that fun factor when driving. I mean, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds in a truck. Like, that is amazing. That is so much fun to do. So I mean, yeah, Rivian just taps into that, and I think for the future, the Rivian is going to be something that we're going to be seeing a lot of.
Yeah, I can confirm that 0 to 60 time is pretty insane when you're sitting in the car. But no, it was a cool experience. So Kevin and I went out the other day, and we had this Rivian on loan. We shot some footage, and we have some clips for you guys loaded up here too. Mainly like highlighting 5 or so areas of the car. Talking about some of the autonomous driving features, the storage in the car, the quality of design, how fast it is, and some unique things that you might not expect to see in an electric vehicle, which was definitely standout with the Rivian. So AB, I'm not sure, I know chat actually, if you guys have any questions about the Rivian, I'm starting to see them coming in. Oh, Christian, that's funny. But yeah, just toss your questions in the chat and we'll definitely answer them. AB, we might have you, give your thoughts on the stock as well a little bit. But yeah.
Wait, do we have footage? I'm sorry. Do we have footage or no?
Yeah, we have footage. So, I mean, we have those. Yeah, we have a video for each one of those topics that I just outlined. So if we want to talk about the car in more detail, I can play a little clip of B-roll and then we can chat about it as well.
Let's do it.
Let's do that. Can we do that right now?
Sure. I'm going to start it off with just the design of the car. One thing I noted, I've had a chance to check out a couple other EVs as well. And one thing I noted more than anything is a lot of times the design was a little cheap, if you might say. People kind of say that about Teslas as well. So check out this video and we'll give you your thoughts. All right, so that was
I dig it.
little edit courtesy of one of our guys, Jay. But some of the footage we shot the other day. But yeah, I mean, off the first glance, it's a pretty cool car. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, I was gonna say definitely for me the design of the truck, it looks like a truck, which is definitely cool. But when you look at it from the front, there's something different with it, and that's what I like about it. It doesn't scream, "Hey, I'm an EV," but it screams like, "Hey, I'm a truck, but I look really cool while being a truck."
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my biggest question for the Rivian will be that when it's commonplace, when we have the Rivian in production and on sale kind of to the masses with the Ford Lightning, I feel like, and I don't know a lot about cars and trucks, but I feel like truck guys really care about the, how much can the truck tow, what's the horsepower, etc. So I feel like whichever one out of the Ford Lightning and Rivian will have the most utility will be the one that's the favorite.
Yeah, I could kind of speak to that a little bit. So the Rivian is more of an off-roading truck, and it has a lot of off-road features, where the Lightning is more of a work truck. So they're going to be a little bit different in that aspect. Like the Lightning will be able to haul more. It is a bigger truck. The Rivian is more of a compact truck. So I don't think the same people would be looking at both of those cars at the same time. I mean, some may, but for the most part, if you're working, the Rivian is probably not going to be the one. But if you're off-roading, or you want to go camping, or you do those, those sports and things like that, you want to haul extra stuff, I think the Rivian more has those things. I'm not sure if you have a clip of that, Rohan, but the Rivian has a built-in kitchen, for some of the higher end models, that you could slide a kitchen out of the side of the car. So it does things like that. I mean, it's just kind of more of a fun car, in my opinion, than the F-150 is more of a work car, if you will.
I would say this Rivian would compete more in the class of a Range Rover or something like that, like a high-end off-road vehicle. And it's a total different price class as well, right? The Rivian is kind of averaging around $70,000 for this launch model, and F-150 Lightning is obviously quite a bit lower than that. But in terms of the quality of the design, things they thought about with the software, I have to say definitely very well thought out. And
Yeah.
yeah, no clip of the kitchen, Kevin, but
Oh,
it's pretty cool.
yeah. One of the things that I found interesting when talking with a lot of the Rivian people, a lot of them are ex Ford, ex GM people. So it's not like just like random people are making a car. These are people who have worked for Ford, worked for GM, and those companies. So these are people who make cars for a living, and they're making this car too. So and to me, like I think the difference between obviously Tesla and this is that I think the Rivian does bridge the gap pretty well between people who are used to gas powered cars and electric cars, because it still has buttons inside the car. It still feels like a car, like the switches and everything are manual. And it's not like Tesla where everything is like touchscreen, everything is interface and everything is electric. You have to push a button to open the door. Like it really has some of those car things that you're used to seeing and used to having. The Rivian still has that. So it's kind of a nice blend between the two, in my opinion.
Yeah, someone in the chat commented, like, would you take this off-roading? And they specifically mentioned, well, something that the engineer, because we got to speak with an engineer from Rivian as well, and he was telling us about how he was testing the truck, and it had, like, a drift mode built in, where, like, because, like, the motor control and whatever, like, you could pretty much keep this thing sideways forever. So it's definitely, like, more of, like, a fun vehicle, I would say, than anything. But no, definitely... and yeah, compared to Lordstown, I'd say Rivian is definitely far ahead of the game there.
So I was just doing some research, and at least with Ford, surprisingly, the Ford Lightning, the base model of the Ford Lightning has a higher towing capacity than the base model of a Ford F-150.
Yeah. I mean, with the motors, it makes sense, right? They got all sorts of torque.
On the new electric.
Yeah, the only thing with the electric, when you start towing things, then your range gets cut down dramatically. So I'm not sure. Do they release range numbers with towing capacity? Because I know with the Model X, you can tow up to, I think, 7,500 pounds. But once you put that much weight on there, you lose about half the range. So that's something to consider. Like, let's say you're trying to take a trailer up north, and let's say it's a 200-mile drive, and you have 300 miles worth of range. You're not going to make it up there in one haul. So that's something to be mindful of. When you have an EV, everything you do just takes more power, takes more battery, anything you're doing.
That's a great point. Yeah, this does make the caveat that you need to put you need to get the extended battery to tow that much on the Ford Lightning. But yeah, I mean, I think the idea is eventually we'll be at a place where we have, charging stations as often, or as many charging stations as we do gas stations, and eventually those will have the fast chargers as well. So you can, I mean, Elon says there'll be a day you can charge your Tesla in like 5 minutes, so who knows? Maybe that will make those long road trips a little bit more feasible.
One thing I thought that was cool that they showed us in the car related to like the charging aspect is with like the built-in display and the navigation. It was kind of cool that it had like a list of all the chargers nearby. It'd take you to the closest one. What network it was on specifically, what power, how fast it would charge it. Like, that was pretty cool to see.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead. I was going to ask a separate question, but I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, that's where Tesla has a huge advantage. Their network, their supercharging infrastructure, it is amazing. I mean, I can drive from here, Detroit, all the way to California on their charging network because they put them off the freeways. And here in Michigan, like, they're next to Meijer, and going down south, they're next to other different stores and things like that. I still think a lot of companies, EV companies, that's where they struggle at, and that's something they're building out with the. I think Electrify America is basically a company that is going to put chargers out there for all the cars to access if they want. So soon there'll be a charging infrastructure, but Tesla has the advantage. I mean, I think there's over 50,000 superchargers for Tesla already. So Tesla does have that big advantage. But there are rumors that Tesla's looking to open it up as well for other car manufacturers to use for a licensing fee. They've already opened it up in Europe to Volkswagen. So, we'll see what it looks like here in America pretty soon.
Yeah. Do we want to hit one of the next videos? We could mention...
Yeah, let's do it.
I guess we can talk about the autonomous driving, right? Because that's a good area to compare it to Tesla as well.
As you can see, it is very simple to use. So as you can see, this little icon up here means I'm in the autonomous driving mode. This little blue line is showing me my lanes. But if I want to speed up, it's just as simple as tapping this button right here, and now we can adjust our speed. And as you can see, the car is keeping up with just me tapping this right here. And look, I've only been on the freeway for a couple minutes. It's definitely smooth. I am very comfortable with it.
Got folksy with that one. That was cool.
I love the music, man. It was
Yeah,
good.
it made me feel like I was
My
watching
personal favorite.
Yeah, like some sort of documentary or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was actually going to ask before you even brought it up, Rohan, about the self-driving capabilities, because I think that will be the other big catalyst for, any of these companies that are making EV trucks. Whoever is furthest along on the self-driving, I think will have a huge advantage going forward.
100%. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, we were talking about that when we had it too, is like there's like a large market with these buyers of large trucks to have, assisted features for that, for like long drives and stuff like that. I know, Kevin, you were mentioning something about like towing with the automated driving and stuff.
Yeah. So I know GMC. They pushed out something recently. I think over the summer, had a chance to check it out, where the autonomous driving would work with a payload as well. So if you put a trailer on the back of your car, autonomous driving, their feature, I think it's called blue, well, whatever it's called, it doesn't matter at this point. But basically, it would adjust for the weight of the back of the payload. So if you have like 8,000 pound payload and you're doing autonomous driving, it would adjust for the weight, adjust for the sway, and keep those things in mind when doing things like going around a corner and things like that. Because right now, if you do autonomous driving and you have something attached to the trailer, it disables, because it's just so much other things to factor, speed and distance it takes to stop. And so the new GMCs, the new Sierra and the new Denali, they both take account of that when you do their assisted driving or their autonomous driving.
Yeah, no, that's definitely pretty cool. And I wonder, if Rivian will look to incorporate some sort of technology. I'm sure it'll take them a while to develop and stuff like that, but it is cool. Yeah, I don't know. Like, definitely with the autonomous driving, I'd say there may be like a couple steps behind Tesla, I'd imagine, right? Because they've got it to level 2, but Tesla's already got, full self-driving on the roads.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I will say yeah, but to be honest, I've had it on my Model 3 and I had the beta. It was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. Like it is mind-numbing how this is legal and that Elon was like okay pushing this out to certain drivers. So it's one of those things that I think Tesla is more open to using it. I don't know how much further they are than other companies, but they do have things like automatic lane switching. So if I'm in a car and I have my automatic driving on, and then a car in front of me is going slower, it will switch lanes, go around them and get back in lane, and it'll get off the freeway for me. So it does have that next level, but it's still considered level 2. And I still think level 3 is years away, just because of how bad it is right now. It's more of just a fun trick to kind of do a video on, but I wouldn't recommend doing it at all, because I was put into some very dangerous situations and I had to intervene probably with every minute or so. I had to intervene for whatever reason because it wasn't doing something right. So
That's on the Tesla full self-driving?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a 2021 Toyota Corolla hatchback, and even that has like self-driving. Like I think everyone that assumes that Tesla is like the far and away leader in self-driving, I think a lot of these other legacy automakers like Toyota has the technology out there. I think they're just being more cautious with like putting it out on the cars that are on the road.
Yeah, I mean, I know with the Toyota one, it's not like nearly as good though. Like it definitely like you kind of like get to the edge of the lane and then it realizes and puts you back in the middle. The Rivian was definitely smooth.
I use it all the time, and it's not by any means like 100% great. Like it does sometimes kind of get me to the edge of the lanes and stuff, but like it's fun to like the other day I had like my cruise control on like 80 on 75, and I had it on, and it was coming up on like not like a sharp turn on the highway obviously, but like a curve, and I was just like, I'm just gonna let it go and see if it's got this turn, and it got it. I mean, it did it. So
yeah, no, it's crazy how they're getting there. The one thing I actually was curious about, and I don't know if you know, Kevin, is what sort of technology Rivian is using for their autonomous driving, if it's just cameras or anything else.
Yeah. So the engineer mentioned that it's just cameras, is not using any sort of LiDAR system. But, Tesla no longer uses LiDAR anyways. All the models 2021, I think, and newer no longer are using LiDAR. There's just strictly a camera system. So something about that you have to know is that when you're driving in the car and then let's say the lane markers are covered or the paint is faded, it starts to make assumptions of where the lane markers are. And then if it goes for a certain amount of distance or maybe it's time and the lane markers do not reappear, then it basically disables autopilot. So it's one of those things that like it needs to have actual markers on the road. So if you're doing like those 1-lane highways or anything like that, it will not kick on or won't stay on long. Just kind of a safety feature.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, in terms of who is using LiDAR, I think like just Ford right now, right? Or maybe some other companies, but none of the ones that are out on the road, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Tesla moved away from LiDAR. I don't notice any difference with my 3 or my Y as far as the autonomous driving. Camera or LiDAR, it's the same to me as I'm using it every day. So
Nice. All right, well, we can probably check out one of these other videos, see what sort of fun song we get hit with this time. We can do like more of a fun one. We can talk about some of the unique stuff in the Rivian, so let's play that. All right, that last one was kind of hard to tell. I like I said, I haven't had a chance to actually review these, but yeah, the last one was like little logos in the truck bed. That was cool, but kind of hard to see on camera. But no, those were some of the unique features. My favorite one was the flashlight in the door. I thought it was so sleek how it was, but it was pretty cool.
yeah, so I mean, this car does have a lot of like little accessories and little fun features like baked right into the car. I kind of mentioned it. We don't have a video of it because the version that we had didn't have it. But if you get a certain version of the car, a certain trim of it, it will have a built-in kitchen that you can pull out the side of the gear tunnel, and it's like a little kitchen with running water that you could pull out of the car, which is interesting. But even then, there's that speaker that you saw. It actually is in like beneath the center console, and it's always charging. So let's say you park the car, you want to go out, you can grab the speaker, 100% battery life, and you Bluetooth to it and listen to music. And like Rohan said, it has that flashlight that's always charging in the door. And it's just so many like little features baked into the car. And there's kind of one thing that they showed, but you didn't see what it was doing. It was actually an air pump. So if you do pop a tire or anything like that, you can put air back in your tire right from your car, which is really nice to see. So it has like a lot of cool things like that. And there's like, I believe over 10 plugs, like standard 120 plugs that are actually in the Rivian too. So if you need to like plug in a TV or plug in anything small or like a phone charger or wall charger, anything like that, it's right there in the car. So I don't know. That's why that's why the truck is really made for, I think, the adventure person, the person that wants to go camping or anything like that. Or me and Rohan joked about like if we go out for a shoot, having this would be nice because you could charge your batteries up while you're kind of shooting. You got the gear tunnel to kind of hide to move your stuff, and just like little nice bells and whistles that makes being around the truck more fun.
Yeah, no, definitely. And one thing that wasn't in the video that we didn't have with us but was cool is they have like that little wristband that's like a little silicone wristband that can unlock your car, so you don't have to take your keys with you anywhere, and it's totally waterproof. So it's definitely like an adventure-focused vehicle.
Yeah.
What's going on there, AB?
Not much. Just doing some checking up on the markets.
I don't know,
So-
how's the stock doing these days? I'm actually kind of curious.
Rivian?
Yeah.
Not great. So after Rivian IPO'd, it got all the way up as high as about $180 a share, and is currently below $80 a share. I mean, I think, people just rode this as like a hype stock all the way up, and there's really no revenue. Like they're not selling trucks yet, anything really happening yet. So I think it'll take a couple of years before, honestly, we ever see the stock back at those levels. But like all other EV stocks, these things can just go crazy.
Yeah. And I know the truck I was in was actually a production truck, and they have started shipping them to customers for what it's worth. It just started. I'm not a stock
Okay.
guy, so I'm not speaking to stocks or anything like that. I'm just saying in general, I know that they are starting to ship to customers now.
Yeah, and they have
like
100,000, I think, orders of their delivery vehicle to Amazon. So
Yeah,
that's kind of cool too.
yeah, 100,000 orders to Amazon, and then they have 70,000 pre-orders for customers too. So that's what they mentioned to me. So
Yeah. So what was like the one thing that stood out the most about the truck? Was it like the speed, the way it drove, the actual design of it?
I think for me it's just the practicality of the frunk. So EVs, they don't have like a traditional motor, obviously. So the front of the hood, it pops open, and that's called the frunk. There was so much space in there. I mean, I sat in there. I'm 6'2", and I could basically put my whole body in the frunk, like kind of balled up a little bit. But there's so much room in there. So the car just has so much storage. If you need to carry stuff, move stuff around. I mean, you have the flatbed, you have under the flatbed, and then you have the frunk, and then you have the gear tunnel, and then so many just little knickknacks of storage pockets that you can use. I guess will be kind of a weird way of saying it.
Yeah, no, for me, it was like what stood out the most was just like well thought out design in the software and the actual functionality of it, especially with like the storage. We actually have a video on the storage. I'll play that now. Yeah, so I mean that video is mostly showing off like the gear tunnel, which is definitely a cool feature, not something you usually see on trucks, but some other areas as well. They really kind of utilized all the space they could, I thought.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, like I'm a big fan of the gear tunnel. I don't know why I like it so much. I think I just like the name of the gear tunnel. But another thing that's not shown in the video is that if you have stuff in the gear tunnel, there's actually a sliding board. You can slide it out and get to your stuff, and then slide it back in the gear tunnel too. So a lot of cool options. And the door to the gear tunnel can be used to sit on, or you can stand on it too, like a step ladder. So it's kind of like a dual purpose thing, and it feels like everything is just, as Rohan kind of mentioned before, it's very well thought out in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I need to get in one of these. The only time I've ever been in or at least driven an electric car was that Polestar we had, Rohan.
Yeah, and that was a car, like as its bare bones, like it was an electric car, but beyond that, like the software was just like not quite there, I would say, and the interiors kind of felt a little cheap. But other than that, I mean, but that's a much lower price point car as well, more of a Model 3 competitor, but I wouldn't even really say that because Model 3 is definitely beating that one out in terms of value. But no, I mean, I this is definitely like a higher price point vehicle, but they definitely, I think, made it worth it, I would say. What was the prices tested? I think our model was like 68,000 or something like that, or maybe 70 something.
Yeah, it was 74, and they had a $68,000 model, which didn't have the premium interior, didn't have as good of a sound system, and just a couple things like that. But for the most part, 68K is the starting, 74 is like the first trim, and then it goes up to 88, I believe, for the decked out version, whatever they named it. So
nice. I got someone in the chat saying they've seen like Rivians on the freeway, the transport trucks and stuff like that, and driving on the 405. We actually have someone at Benzinga in the offices who parks in our garage who has a Rivian too. So I mean, they're starting to pop up.
Wait,
around.
someone in the I see what you're saying. Not someone in the Benzinga office, just someone in our office building has it.
Yeah, someone in our building. I keep seeing one in the garage. But no, it's definitely pretty cool, and I'm definitely starting to see them more. I saw the Hummer EV actually in Rochester once, but I've only seen that one just that one time.
What
yeah.
about,
Go ahead.
I was gonna ask you, Kevin. When do you think we're gonna see a Cybertruck?
I honestly, I don't know. I mean, it's you know what? Because Elon owes people the Tesla Roadster, the 2020 Tesla Roadster. Like that was announced first, and people have paid $250K for one already. And it was supposed to come in 2020. So I don't know. The guy we were with, he mentioned that because they test in Minnesota, like one of the coldest places in America, and he said they saw a Cybertruck there. So there is a Cybertruck. It's not a production version of the car yet. To be honest, I have no idea. I would be surprised if we see it in 2024. I'll be surprised if it even comes that early. But that's just my opinion.
Bold
Yeah,
statement.
I mean,
yeah.
It's like it always happens. I feel like with Tesla, they'll put a date out there and they don't hit it, and it really doesn't matter. I mean, look at the stock. Like the stock was down yesterday on the news that they removed. Tesla tried to like remove the Cybertruck date off its website without really saying anything, and of course people noticed because people like watch Tesla's website like a hawk, and they noticed, and the stock was down about like 6 or 7% yesterday, but now it's flat or up again today. Like people don't seem to care when they miss deadlines or whatever. And I say this as a Tesla shareholder.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So one of my friends had me buy, like my first time buying stock was about 4 years ago. He had me buy Tesla stock, and even then I forgot what it was at that point, but I was like, dude, that's a lot of money. And so I like bought a couple shares, whatever, kind of sat on it, and then I like peeked over to my account one day, and I was like, whoa, this thing is going up. Then the stock split. And I was like, dude, this is amazing. So I've been kind of like riding the Tesla stock roller coaster for a while now.
Nice. Yeah, no, I mean, the only people who are really going to care are the people who already, paid for pre-orders, right? So.
Yeah, and I forgot what it was, but it was a non-refundable pre-order this time around, because typically the pre-orders are refundable for the 3 and for the Y. Those are both refundable. But for the Cybertruck, it was less money down. I think it was $100 down, I think. Don't quote me. But it was non-refundable $100. So you pre-order and then just like, hey, when it comes, it comes. So I did pre-order mine. I don't know, it's kind of a FOMO thing. So I did pre-order one. Yeah, I mean, no, I put the $100 down or whatever it was. I did it, and I was like, you know what? Whenever it pops up, when that time comes, maybe I could sell my pre-order spot in line if it's early enough or whatever. I don't know. I just kind of did it.
Nice.
One of those things.
Yeah, it's almost. I feel like with Tesla's, at least with Tesla's stock, like it's almost like they've done this so much that it doesn't matter anymore. Like if Toyota or one of these other legacy car makers like put out a date and then had to push back production, it'd be like a huge deal. But for Tesla, because it happens so often, it seems like people are just kind of numb to it.
Yeah. For me, Tesla just kind of feels like one of those meme companies where they do these little goofy things, whatever, and people just like it because it's Tesla. Like, oh yeah, it's Tesla. This is what they do. Like, could you imagine if Ford pushed out autopilot beta to people's cars and it was doing the things that it was doing, or the summon, or like pushing out beta features in general to cars that could hurt people? Like, to me, that is the craziest thing, that in my car, literally, I can push a button and have it drive in a parking lot to come see me, not obeying any type of laws or rules or anything, just going across the parking lot through parking spots to come pick me up. Like, that is crazy to me. As someone who loves my car, I do think there's so many crazy things about it that should not be on there.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know. I've never talked to someone that's been that open about like the problems with the self-driving on the Tesla.
Oh, yeah. I'm a reviewer by nature, and I'm not a fanboy by any means. So I can own a product, and I can bash the hell out of it for a long time if I want, but still say I like the product. Like this is what I don't like about it. This is what I do like about it. And overall, it's a net positive of what I like about it. So, I mean, I definitely could do that. I mean, there's definitely some things
and
about
Tesla. And you've got to like
that.
it a certain amount. I mean, to go from one model to the next one, you have to like the product overall, right?
Yeah. So yeah, like, don't get me wrong, I do like the product overall. I think it is the best EV available right now, and I do love the tech features. I do love all the crazy things with it, but it's definitely some things on there that's not safe, and I don't use often, or I use to make a video on and kind of talk about. But there's a lot of crazy things with that car. So
someone in the chat saying the $100 down payment for Cybertruck is refundable. But
it is refundable. Okay.
Yeah.
I did say don't quote me. So
yeah, going through a couple other names that I'm seeing in the chat. Lucid, of course. There are rumors about Lucid being the EV manufacturer behind the Apple car. So if that turns out to be true, expect to see Lucid stock, kind of skyrocket from there. I have some Neo too, which is Neo's trying to kind of be like the Tesla of China, and yeah, I mean, I think long term, the market over there in China, there's just so many people that eventually, when EVs are the most common car, that Neo is a name to look at. But I mean, Kevin, you haven't been in a Lucid Motors car, have you?
I have not, but one of my friends owns a Lucid Air, and he's making content on his YouTube channel right now. Actually, he loves the car. He said it is. He said it reminds him of like Mercedes-Benz quality as far as like craftsmanship, and then all the tech that a Tesla has, which is like an amazing combination. But I have not been in one yet. I'm trying really hard to get a chance to drive one though.
That's pretty crazy. I mean, if that'd be pretty impressive if they were able to do that. I know everyone was kind of impressed with the mileage quote on that car, right? It was like 500 miles or something like that, which is pretty impressive. The only other one that's coming out pretty soon, I think, is the Fisker Ocean. But I don't know about like the tech on that. I just know it's like a EV. I don't know anything beyond that really. Are they a SPAC, AB?
Who?
Fisker?
No, I don't. Or maybe they were, but they're not anymore. I mean, Fisker is currently trading at 1440. Let's see if they were a SPAC. Should be able to tell pretty. No, I don't think they were.
Okay.
Could be wrong. Maybe they
Interesting. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see them kind of like come out from the woodwork on this one and if it's actually any good. I honestly don't even like the way the new car is going to look, but
the Fiskers. I think Fisker's like a sneaky name in the EV at least like stock wise, because people are always talking about Lucid. People are obviously always talking about Tesla. People are talking about Rivian now. People are talking about Neo, but not a lot of people talk about Fisker.
You know, I guess I have a question out there, even for the chat as well. When do you think these car manufacturers are going to just get rid of gas cars and go strictly EV? I mean, obviously, I know it's not going to happen next year, but I wonder, like, when is the Ford going to say, you know what, F-150 or the Ford Focus or any of their popular cars, we're only doing an EV variant of this car? I wonder, because I think at that point, when you
GM and a couple other big manufacturers have already come out and set dates that they plan to stop manufacturing gas vehicles by, like, I think by 2035. GM said they're going to be done producing gas vehicles, or that's their plans.
Yeah, it depends on the brand. Like, you have Dodge out there saying that they're never ever going to produce an EV in the history of Dodge. They literally just said that. It's kind of funny making a bold statement like that. They're just like the opposite, right? We're still going big muscle. They're basically saying like, oh yeah, if we're gonna go down with this ship, if this like puts us out of business, fine, but we're not gonna give in. We're not gonna start making. Harley Davidson did that too. They did have a subdivision of Harley that was making EV bikes, and they spun that off as a separate company, and they said Harley is gonna focus just off on gas. What is it, like ICE engines? Internal combustion.
ICE. Yeah, ICE. Man, can you imagine an electric Harley Davidson? That just seems. I understand.
It exists. There's one
I
out
understand
there.
That. Really?
Yeah, it's called the Live Wire, but it doesn't look like a real Harley. It looks like a sports bike. Yeah.
Yeah. Seems very weird. Like it seems like some companies are synonymous with gasoline and muscle and the sound, the rumble and things like that. But you know, it's funny that cars over the past 5 years or so, they have been pumping in fake audio into the vehicle to kind of give you that sound still. Just because these cars are becoming more efficient and more quiet, that they actually have to provide that sound for people to make them feel like they're going fast, or they feel like they have a strong motor. So
yeah,
I mean,
that's definitely a thing.
Yeah, even the Mach-E, by default, it has fake engine sounds. You'd have to turn that off to whisper mode, where you don't hear anything at all. And then they have an unbridled mode, I believe, or something like that, where basically it pumps in the sounds like an old school Mustang while you're driving an EV, which is very, very interesting.
I will say though, on the flip side of that, the first time I was ever in a Tesla and someone like revved it up to like 85 or 90, I like could not get over how cool it was that it was that quick and we were going that fast while it was like so quiet. Like, to me, that was cool. So there are people out there. I hear what you're saying, that it's like they want to feel the power when they hit the button to start the car or turn the key. You know, they want to hear that engine rev. They want, you know, when they're going down the highway and they speed up, they want to hear that. But I thought it was cool seeing it, how quiet it was. That like, holy shit, this car is like, the Teslas are fast.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's there's two. like I said, there's two sides to the coin. Some people just don't want change. Like some people have a hard time saying like, this is what a car reminds me of. A car has this engine sound. I can feel the motor underneath me rumbling. I can feel these things. And if they don't feel that, they're disappointed. Like car people, like my dad, he's a car person. When he's in my car, he said it feels like a toy. It doesn't feel like a car to him. Like he needs to feel those things. And there's certain people that need to feel those things. And sort of as we're making this transition to EV, I think there's going to be a lot of things that sort of bridge the gap together to kind of show people like, hey, this may not be the car you expect, but here are some features that remind you of a car, but things are a little bit different now and kind of help people along the way. Like a big one is going to be that one pedal driving. So EVs, they have regenerative braking. So if you let go of the accelerator, the car starts to slow down. And a lot of cars feature something called one pedal driving. So like right now, even the Rivian, that when you're driving, you let go of the accelerator, the car will stop. And that's it. You don't have to push the brake. And then you hit the accelerator, it goes, and you pull off a little bit, it starts slowing down. So you don't actually use the brake unless you need to stop much faster. A lot of people by default, when they get into an EV, I've seen it, and it was actually me as well, turn that feature off. I don't like that. I want to hit the brake. I want to do these things.
I did that.
Yeah. And so Rivian said, you know what? We actually are not allowing you to turn that off because that is a feature that makes EV driving great. And that's how you get better range too by doing the exact same thing. They did mention they may actually give that feature back to let people turn that off because it's sort of like some people are very uncomfortable with it. But that's one of the things with EVs, that it's a different driving experience. And I think it's going to take time for the mass public to understand it is just a different type of vehicle.
My only thing with the one pedal drive, I think for everyday driving, like it's totally fine. Obviously, like it makes the car better. But when I was like driving those some EVs like hard, like around corners, trying to like brake at the right moment and stuff like that, that totally threw me off. I was like, I want to know when I'm braking so I can like make the most out of this corner or whatever. Like if you're driving them fast, I don't know that it makes sense necessarily.
I feel like it's like with all technology, right? Like sometimes they'll put out computer programs or whatever that are still kind of buggy, and it's like not a big deal because they're making constant improvements and whatever. But we shouldn't do that with cars, right? Like they shouldn't put out, things that are buggy and just like try to improve the technology along the way. That can actually have like real consequences.
Definitely.
Yeah. And that's definitely Tesla's MO. A lot of software updates get pushed out that may not be 100% ready, but there is an option in the car where you can turn off advanced updates. So there's the beta software that's completely different. Then there's like advanced software, which may not be beta, but I don't think it's like fully tested by many people. And then there's like the standard release, right? So you can just set it up where you get the standard release update and not like the incremental updates in between, I guess. And then they have pushed out hot fixes too to fix issues with the car. But I will say I haven't ran to a feature that wasn't beta that made me feel unsafe in my car. Like it has been rock solid 100% of the way. The times where it hasn't been rock solid is when I started doing the experimental beta features, which is understandable, but I just don't think those should be on the car in the first place, even as beta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Makes sense to me. But yeah, I mean, that pretty much covers our thoughts on the Rivian, I think. And I see Tony hanging out in the background there, so we could probably wrap this segment up. But Kevin, it was awesome having you on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah, appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you guys for coming on. Kevin, you got to obviously keep in touch with Rohan, who will keep us in the loop. But anytime you have new content coming out, you're reviewing a new product, maybe we bring you on and you can talk about that product, talk about that car, whatever it is.
For sure. Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome.
Beautiful. All right, Kevin, Rohan, y'all enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, thank you.
Peace.
All right, y'all. I see Daniel in the chat's asking, does Toyota have plans for a Tacoma EV? I don't know off the top of my head, but I would bet yes.
I would agree with that. I bet they do.
What did you say?
Oh, Aaron says they have a Tundra
Oh, a
EV
Tundra
coming
EV
out?
coming out. Yeah, I mean, Toyota's trucks have actually been... Toyota became the most selling car manufacturer in the U.S. this year, I think for the first time, over GM. Yeah. And a lot of that was due to the Tundra and Tacoma, so Toyota's pickup truck sales kind of cutting into the U.S. Market share of pickup trucks.
It was also GM not having chips.
Well, right. Toyota had the
But yeah.
a better handle of the production
Yeah.
from the supply chain issues, so they were able to have more trucks on the market. But we'll see if that trend continues or
Hey,
not.
can I bum your charger?
Yeah.
Thank you. Hey, it's 1:17. We're gonna bring on our next guest here in a couple minutes, Tony Benson. We're talking patterns. If you have a question on a stock or a chart, Tony's your guy. All right, so save any of your questions for that segment coming up in a couple minutes here. Before we do that, let's just take stock, pun intended, of the overall market here. Let's bring on my Benzinga Pro. Let's just see where we stand today. So broadly speaking, tech was strong. I guess it still is relative. Like some of the FANG names you see are up today: Microsoft, Google, Facebook. But the strength has subsided a little bit as the day has gone on. You're seeing red across the board there. Every major index is down today. SPY, Qs, Russell. Please, the Russell is down every day. Every day, it seems like the Russell is down. So broad-based weakness. Your outperformance today is in energy. That's really where your money is hiding today for the most part. And then before we bring on Tony, I wanted to look at Sam, Boston Beer Company. Have we talked about this today? I don't think we have.
We talked about it yesterday, not on the show, but
not today.
Afternoon. Yeah, I mean, look, the company is citing supply chain issue, but here's what I'll say: if I were the CEO or the chief marketing officer or something of a company, and we were struggling with revenue, growth, demand issues, right now, I would throw supply chain issues in there as a nice little hey, it's nothing wrong with our company. We're just having some supply chain issues.
Can we show you what the 8K said last night? This is from the company. I'll zoom in for you. I'll make this easier to read here because I realize that it's small. So okay, this first paragraph is where I'm reading. All right.
I'm counting this as I have a New Year's resolution about books that I've read this year, and I'm counting this.
This can count towards like a chapter of the book, not the whole book.
I don't know. I mean, 8K.
It's not 8,000 pages. Okay. Okay, so let's start here. Demand here. Consumer demand for the company's products has been at the high end of the company's scroll expectations. Demand is strong. However, with a capital H, we now estimate that shipment growth for the company's products and gross margins will be below guidance. Why? Well, they told us the estimated lower shipment growth, is primarily a result of more aggressive wholesaler inventory reduction. So demand is strong, but not from the wholesalers, who are the ones buying in bulk here. Primarily affecting Truly. Is no one drinking? Are we not buying Truly anymore, Aaron? I mean, do you not buy it anymore? Do I? I don't. I never really.
I think the hard seltzer market's just way oversaturated right now.
Oh, I should mention this. Additionally, due to higher than expected supply chain costs. Yeah, supply chain costs. So, but mostly it's the first thing. It's the inventory reduction on Truly. Back to the chart we go. So they're saying that people aren't buying hard seltzer. I never got the hard seltzer thing to begin with. I've never been a hard seltzer guy.
Dude, all right. So Anheuser-Busch alone, right?
Yeah.
They have Bud Light Seltzer.
Okay.
They have Natty Light Seltzer.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait.
Natty Light Seltzer?
Yeah.
Are you for real?
Yeah.
That must be disgusting.
I don't know.
I'm sure that's the most disgusting thing ever.
They have.
Tell us in the chat if you've had natural light seltzer before.
I have not. Well, actually, maybe I have.
What a joke.
I don't know. Anyway, I'm just looking at the brands right now. All right, so here are all your beers. Bud Light Seltzer, like I mentioned.
Can you accept cookies? It's going to bother me.
Where? Oh, down here.
Thank you.
Why do I want...
Or you don't have to. Just get it. Thank you. Whatever.
Natty Light Seltzer. Okay.
Wait, Matty Ice says it's not bad. The Natty Light Seltzer.
No, it's
Then
actually pretty delicious, honestly. I was pretty impressed.
I refuse to believe this, but okay. If you say so.
Then you've got Bone and Viv, which is a spiked seltzer. Neutral.
What is that?
Vodka seltzer, real juice.
Okay.
You have kombucha, which I guess is like a kombucha hard seltzer.
Oh wait,
type thing.
Rita's. I like Rita's.
Is that a hard seltzer?
Yeah, isn't Rita's like a ice thing? It's like the isn't it like the strawberry Rita? Is that what I'm thinking of? No, is that something else? I think I'm thinking it's like the Strawberryta.
Yeah, and then I don't know even if they have anymore. Anheuser-Busch launches Social Club Seltzer. It's like Anheuser-Busch alone has tried like 6 different seltzers. You have Coors Seltzer, you have Corona Seltzer. The seltzer market is like the most oversaturated thing. When it was just Truly and White Claw, it was a killer for Sam.
Wait. What are you saying? Are you saying that every company just copied and hopped on the seltzer train?
Yes.
No way. Refuse to believe. Of course that's what happened. Anyway, the seltzer market is oversaturated.
It's like when people went crazy for the Popeyes chicken sandwich, and now like you can get a chicken sandwich at Taco Bell.
Yeah.
McDonald's put one out. Burger King put one out.
There's no such thing as innovation in food and beverage. It's just copying. I would be curious to get our next guest thoughts on Sam. Tony Benson, patterns in a flash, and Tony, holler at us if you're ready. I think he's ready. Yeah, he's getting ready. He's getting the water. He's good to go. Tony, can you share your charts for us, please? And can we start with Sam? I'd be curious to see what I'm sure this is not one that you typically trade.
Yes.
Oh, nice monitors, man. Nice screen. That's a wide. Is that one screen there at the bottom?
Are you talking about behind me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a 49-inch curved. I love it.
Wow. 49-inch. 49-inch curved monitor.
I didn't even know they made them that big. I started searching around for a new one, and I saw that, and I was like, okay, I got to have one of those at least. I got one just to start. I might get a second one, but
that's impressive.
It's a pretty good setup right now, so I'm content at this point.
Wow. All right, so here we got a chart of Sam. The stock was like $1,300 a year ago. It's $400 today, and going lower off this headline here, but. From a purely chart perspective, Tony, do you see anything of interest here?
Well, as usual, I always go back and look at the entire history, but this is a beer company.
Yeah, Sam Adams.
I heard you guys talking about it earlier today, and I didn't even look at it, but that's a little crazy to think of beer companies at $1,200, but I guess if it's worth it.
I know. Prices can get out of hand here. I agree with you on that, but a lot of that run up, like I said, was driven by hard seltzer, and also I think they're the ones that acquired. Who acquired? What was it? The ticker was Brew, Craft Brew Alliance. Somebody bought them. Was it Molson Coors? Or was it Sam? I forget who. Anyway, whatever. Does the chart say anything here or not really?
Just that we're basically at a support level there. I mean, after a big fall like this, obviously there's not much you can do. I mean, and this is one reason I love patterns. You see the beautiful head and shoulders up here. Obviously, it's too late for that, which is where patterns in flash came from. That was a frustrating part I had. But from what's going on right now, I mean, obviously we've broken to a new low, and this is updated today. So that's today's candle. It's not real time live, but so if we break that support level, which looks like we're right there basically, then the next level down is 347. I mean, there's nothing spectacular here, no pattern or anything that I can see other than just breaking to a new low. So
that's all there is to it.
Yeah, and sometimes that's all it is.
Making new lows. It's time.
Looks like it's got the momentum to keep going. So wish I'd have seen it yesterday, but woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Well,
right?
yesterday the news wasn't out yet, so.
Oh, what was the news on it again? I heard you say that earlier. I forgot.
Yeah, they said that they're basically they may not be profitable this year because of the wholesale inventory reduction for Truly. So they had to lower their earnings guidance for the year. That came out after the close. So.
Well, give it a year. Once the inflation continues to go and people start to lose their jobs and they're unemployed, they'll start drinking again.
Maybe there's a trade there. I don't know.
It's always been crazy to me doing this as long as I have it. You know, liquor companies and makeup companies, tobacco companies usually do well in a recession. So.
You want your inflation hedge, your recession hedge? There we go. Beer and wine and spirits. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on from the same. What's on your list today, Tony? What have you traded so far?
Well, I just noticed I got hit on Morgan Stanley, which is nice. But things I'm watching, this DWAC, we'll start with the bullish one. because there's not a whole lot of bullishness going on right now. But this is I don't remember if we were on when this came out, but I remember watching this. It was totally nuts. The Digital World acquisition, which is Trump's.
It's literally the only SPAC that no, I should rephrase. It's the only celebrity tied SPAC that is not down like 75%, like from its highs. Like, it's the only one.
I'm assuming that this pop came from the Joe Rogan news, because Joe Rogan got on there and brought like 1 million people instantly to it.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, that was a few days ago or a week ago. So that's what created this big pop. And I think we've got an ascending triangle. And the fact that a lot of other tech companies are getting beat up and these guys are growing, at least at the moment, I think that's part of the reason we're seeing it pop like we are. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it keep going. So, but the options are super expensive on it too.
Oh yeah, I can't even. Are they? I can't even imagine.
Yeah,
because I think everyone's waiting on February or something when the app is supposed to launch.
What's that?
I don't know. I think they were supposed to launch the app in February. I don't know. This thing is its own beast. There are a handful of stocks that just are their own. They move in a vacuum. They don't care about what the market does. They just do whatever the hell they want. You know, DWAC is one of them. So it's sort of its own animal. Okay, so just to clarify, you are long DWAC right now.
I'm not long. I don't have a position on it, but I'm looking at it, watching it to see if there's an entry point. So I may get into it long if it gives me an entry point. Right now, who knows what's going to happen. So I usually don't get it unless there's a very clear pattern or it's a good entry point, which right now we've got a little ascending triangle. It's new. Usually stocks that are this new, I don't trade. Just because there's not enough history and there's not really very often clear patterns. This is a fairly clear ascending triangle, nice little breakout. So I'm going to watch if it kind of dances around the 65 level a little bit for a few days. As long as it doesn't break back below it, especially if the market keeps tanking, then I'll look at getting long. But I made a habit of learning to be more patient and waiting for things to settle in. And if I miss it, I miss it. It's tough when you miss them, but it's frustrating. But at the same time, it's better to. There's an old saying by pilots: it's better to be on the ground wishing you're in the air than to be in the air wishing you're on the ground, right?
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so we have a decent setup, potential setup there in DWAC.
Yeah.
What else we got?
Home Depot. Sorry about the cough. That's my COVID cough. I had it a few weeks ago, and it's still lingering.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. Wait, that's a thing. Thank you for reminding me. I'm sorry I didn't ask about that. How are you feeling? Let's put the charts away for a second. How are we doing?
I'm good. It was short lived. I was on my feet 12 hours the first day, and just had almost like a little bit of that achiness you get when you get the flu, but really, really mild. And I literally walked around. We were at a theme park all day for 12 hours, and I was fine. The next day, I was pretty much 90%, and so it was like a one-day thing. So
that's great.
Yeah, so it was no big deal for me. So, but the cough just keeps lingering. So, especially when I talk a lot. So I'm gonna blame you for that.
Yeah. Oh well. I've been blamed for worse. That's awesome, because like when I had it, it was literally, I think my second day of symptoms was the worst day, and it wasn't even so bad where I still I stupidly did this, but I went into work that day. That was like the wrong thing to do, but like my point is I felt well enough to like still do that, even though I felt kind of bad. And then from there it was like a slow and steady just march upwards. So it wasn't even really that bad for fortunately.
Yeah, it was really bad. Both my kids got it too, and my son was in bed for a day, and then he was fine. My daughter barely had any symptoms at all, so she just had a little fever for a little bit.
And wait, you just had it, so like odds are, no way to know unless you got tested. But odds are you probably had Omicron. I did not have Omicron. I had it before that.
But I have no idea. We did a home test, and they all showed up positive. So we all had symptoms, and they all showed up positive. So I figured if we're all positive, we all have symptoms. So I don't know what it actually was.
Yeah, I mean, thank God for the vaccine for me, because I have asthma. But anyway, back to the charts. Oh wait, and just to clarify in the chat, yes, it's true. You cannot buy Yingling in Michigan. It is ridiculous. I don't know why. You can't buy Yingling in Michigan, and it sucks. But back to the charts. Where were we? I've forgotten. I lost track of where we were. Oh, Home Depot. Right. Okay.
Yeah, this was well, it's a little late right now. In fact, I was cranky. I had to take my kids to school this morning. There's 2 or 3 days a month I have to take them, and I have to leave right at opening of the market. And I was going to add to this. I got into some of this yesterday, just hoping. I mean, there's a double top, right? Double top here, the midpoints right here, which we're looking for it to break there. If it breaks there, then it's probably headed lower. So I jumped the gun a little bit yesterday towards the close, seeing that we had. I mean, it's not technically a bearish engulfing pattern, but kind of, sort of. So I went with it. Just picked up a really tiny position just in case it moved, and then I was going to add to it. I was going to add to it at 383, and then if it kept going, I was going to add to it at 377. But it gapped right through that 383, and then I was in the car. And by the time I got home after dropping my kids off, it was at 375 or 374. So, and it's still down there right now. So I never got a chance to add to it, but I'm looking for it to bounce here about 370. If it holds this support level and bounces a little bit, then I'll, if it rolls back up, I will add to it then. So we'll see what happens. Right now, I'm just going to ride it as far as it'll go to the downside. So,
All right.
What were you were saying something about? Did I hear you say something about the Russell just before we got started?
Just making it crack that it never goes higher. I wasn't. I mean, I was sort of being serious, but it really. Wait, pull up a chart.
This has been on my radar for. I mean, I've been watching this the whole year, and
yeah,
because the Russell, as I'm sure everybody knows, is excuse me, the small caps, and typically small caps bring us out of recession, but the little companies get hit when things are worse. So. I think if we crack that support level that we're sitting at right now, I think that's the beginning of the big retracement, in my opinion, of course. But this is something I've been watching for a while. So, and once I think, like I said, I think if we close below there, especially today or in a big way, then who knows how low it'll go. I saw somebody earlier was asking about the spiders, but
wait, hold on. Go back to the rut. So if we close, let's say today, I don't know. Let's say we close at 21.15. Hypothetically, does that mean you're lining up on Tuesday for a short?
21.15. Yeah, absolutely. I'll turn more bearish than I've been. I've been fairly bearish for the last year, even though the market keeps going, which you can look at things to see and be bearish, but have bull market can keep going for a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we crack that level, I'm pretty certain we're going to head lower, probably for the better part of this year. I think a longer term downtrend will be in play for sure. So again, my opinion. So there was something interesting too. I read this in an article. I wonder if I can find it real quick. I can't remember what the numbers were exactly, but I think I might have it here. There's an analyst at, I think that's it. Let's hope it is. Excuse me. Yeah, Doug Ramsey. I thought this was really interesting. I actually just snapped this off the thing. Chief Investment Officer Luthold Group. I'm not even sure who that is, but he said the S&P closed at a 52-week high. 334 companies on the New York Stock Exchange hit a 52-week low. More than double the amount marked new one-year highs. It's happened only 3 times in history. That's what caught my attention. All of them were December 99.
I mean, yeah, it's very hard to wrap your head, for all of us, to wrap our head around the fact that so many stocks are breaking down, and for that matter, have been in pretty persistent downtrends going back to February of last year. Yet at the same time, the SPY and the QQQ, or the SPY, the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq are but damn near new all-time highs, right? And what, a couple percentage points off it, and it begs the question. So there's 2 scenarios there. There's like, well, what happens? And we all know why. We all know why the SPYs and Qs have done better. It's because they're heavily weighted in the mega cap, the same 6 tech stocks, right? So there's 2 questions, right? What happens if and when those break down? What happens if we actually get a sustained period of weakness in Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Netflix, Tesla, Alphabet, or and that's the bear case, right? Like that's the bear argument. What happens if and when that happens, we're screwed. But then the other side is, what happens if like all these stocks that were in downtrends start coming back, right? So it's one or the other. It's sort of that's how I think about this sort of thing. But you're right. It's a great stat. It breaks your brain to think about it. It makes no sense.
It doesn't. It defies logic. But when you look at it and realize that the big indexes, the Qs, the Spiders, the SPX, the NASDAQ especially, are heavily weighted with the big one, the big guys, the Microsofts, the FANGs, right? The Facebook, Apple, Google, Netflix. All those big ones make up a big percentage of it. So as long as those keep going, then the overall market looks like it's still going. And this has happened historically. It's the way it's always been, right? The overall market may continue to look bullish, but there's a ton of stocks that are actually very bearish and have been for some time. I'm going to go look at what was the one that just popped up. It's into my list here. Pinterest, I think it was. I mean, it was at 100. I can't remember the number exactly, but 100, 120 bucks 6-8 months ago. Now it's at 30 and it's continuing lower. Chewy is another one that was huge. You know, a lot of these internet tech stocks are just not, they've been down, like you said, they've been in a downtrend for months, if not a year. So, but the big high flyers keep the big market looking like it's continuing higher.
Right. And the thing I don't like about that stat you showed is like the comparison to 99 and like what's the implication there, Tony? Right? The implication is like, oh, the crash is coming, which like, yeah, it's apples to oranges, right? It's like it's apples to fish. This market, in so many ways, is so different than the .com bubble. For one, we have a entirely different Fed situation. The economy is different. I mean, we have inflation. There's a lot of tech stocks that frankly are not overvalued because they've been crushed last year, right? Mm-hmm. So the implication is that the crash is coming because the 1999, but like we don't know that. I respect the stat. I'm sure it's correct, but I sort of resent the implication a little bit because I don't, you know what I mean?
No, I know. And I get a lot of times with the people that I coach is sometimes I get, especially new people that don't know me and how I trade, what I look at is that you're so negative. And if my account's going up when the market's dropping, that's positive for me. I mean, from an overall perspective, I don't necessarily want to see the market crash because obviously that hurts people financially. Yeah. But if it does, then I mean, I can't do anything about the bigger picture. I can only control what is in front of me. Right. So, I'm more of the opinion it's better to be prepared and know how to take advantage of a crash if it does. At least get out of the way. At least don't, because honestly, I don't know. My brother just said a few months ago, I think the market's going to crash, and he's just a long-term investor. He doesn't do any of this stuff. And he just said, well, I hope it just does it so that I can retire at some point. And to me, it doesn't make sense. Like if you expect it to crash, then why would you not get out of the way?
I think people just want, Tony, people just look for a reason. And I think a lot of it comes down to, I've said that this is my theory, is that like a lot of people are mesmerized by what happened in 08, 09 and The Big Short and Michael Burry and those guys, whether it was the book or they saw the movie and they loved it and they're mesmerized by that. And now they're looking for any reason, whether it's the fiscal cliff or the Greece sovereign debt crisis or inflation or China, nuclear war with North Korea, you name it. People have cited that as a reason for why the market's going to crash. The Fed has ruined the market. But on the other hand, we're getting through the first major global pandemic in 100 years, and the U.S. economy has been ripping, right? I mean, stock market, obviously, we discussed, has gone higher, broadly speaking. So the first pandemic in 100 years couldn't keep this market down. You think whatever you think is the reason is going to be the reason? I don't know. I don't know. To your point, though, if you think the market's going to crash, do something about it. And then at least you put your money where your mouth is.
Honestly, I'm of the opinion I really don't care what the market does. As long as
I'm with you, Tony.
I'm a short-term trader. I don't buy stuff for long-term. I don't hold anything long-term. Everything I do is short-term. I'm in and out. I mean, I got into Microsoft 2 days ago with some puts.
Yeah.
Crushed it. And I'm out of most of it. I still got a little bit there. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to take advantage of the moves, whether it's up or down. I don't really care. So
Yeah, I'm with you because I'm the opposite, but for the for the same way I'm so long term. If the market were to crash tomorrow, that's cool. In 20 years, I won't care. So
Yeah. That's kind of my brother's attitude. So
in 20 years, I'm not going to care that the market crashed tomorrow. So what difference does it make?
yeah,
In the short term, it would suck.
I have
Don't
a
get me
lot of
wrong.
folks that are in my that subscribe to my tool that are just bulls, and
Yeah.
they only want to play the bullish side, and that's fine. But if the market does turn bearish, then get out of the way, let it fall, and
That's
then
exactly right.
when the time
Tony,
is right, then buy back in.
Tony, can you pull up what this is? What this is the SPY we're looking at? What are we looking at?
Yeah, it's the spider.
Can-
Somebody was
Can
mentioning
you,
in the chat right
I
before we got
want to
started.
run my theory by you. This is my theory for the year.
Okay.
And I'm only looking at the last 3 or 4 months. I think we got to prepare for ourselves for a serious just sideways year. Chop, 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 up, down, up, down, up, down, constantly. I think that may be. I mean, we're 2 weeks into the year right now, but like that's sort of where my head is at, where we just get chop all year long. What say you about that?
I would agree. I think there's two. I don't think there's a whole lot of bullish upside. I really don't. I think it's either a sideways move or a significant pullback. The question is how far and how fast. If it does drop, how far and how fast does it go? And then how fast does it recover? So I think this earnings season coming up is going to be will probably give us some indication. I think that the general market will get a little better feel for it, depending on what. I mean, earnings starts next week. Alcoa comes out on the 19th.
Well, we had the banks today.
Yeah.
So, speaking of banks.
Yeah, and that obviously they got beat up, which is perfectly fine with me because I had some puts on Morgan. So just right as we got started, it hit. So I'm out of that with not a huge profit, but a little bit. So, but mainly, I mean, I'll wait and see. Like on the spiders here, we have obviously there's a longer term trend that we have in place. That line that's there. There's a little bit. I mean, you could make an argument there's a head and shoulders here, but I wouldn't call it that big. Once there's more of a reversal type of pattern, like with the Russell is a perfect example. It's been stuck in that range for a year. If it breaks that lower level, that's a big event. So that's a big deal for the Russell. The spiders, though, the SPX, I think when there's a clear bearish pattern, if that happens, then I'd get more bearish on this. So, and there's a miniature little head and shoulders here, but not that great. But this trend line that we've broken as of today. So somebody in the chat was asking about the next level. And yeah, I think about 450, 454 is the next, if it holds here. If it continues to fall, it will probably dig in right here because we got the previous resistance. Plus it's bounced there a couple of times. Imagine the 200 days about if it doesn't hold that, the next level is a 200 day, 440. So
if you have any tickers on your mind, drop them in the chat. We can have Tony look at them. He's going to hang out with us for a few more minutes.
Yeah, I'll throw it on. Well, here's Chewy. There's that one that brought up. So you hit 115. It's a 140, or it's at 43 now. Another example of a tech company that, is just getting crushed. The question is, at what point do they dig in, and when do the fundamentals come back in, and their valuation is reasonable again, where people will buy the stock? And from a technical perspective, I mean, little tiny spots right there, but if they don't hold.
Wait, Ashton's asking what an HS is. Ashton, I don't know if I follow.
Is that head and shoulders?
Oh, that's probably what he's referring to. I suppose because you probably use the shorthand and it went in one ear and out the other.
What's a head and shoulders?
Head and shoulders. Ashton, HS is Tony's shorthand for head and shoulders. It's a pattern where it looks like a head and two shoulders. That's basically it. Okay, couple tickers from the chat here.
Yeah.
You want to look at this is a funny one. You want to look at Discovery, DISCA.
I saw that.
Yeah, finally it started going up.
This has been.
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
this pops up on my radar now and then. I've noticed it kind of building this little base.
Yeah.
So
crazy stuff.
This one and what's the other? There's another one in the same space. I can't remember.
Viacom, VIAC.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you. Charts are identical.
Yeah. So we'll look at one. That's like Lowe's. I mean, Lowe's is in a head and shoulders. Home Depot's in a double top. It's like if you're going to trade one, don't trade them both. Doesn't make any sense. So nice little breakout there. There's not any huge. I mean, you could call this a double bottom, but that's a little bit of a stretch. But definitely a nice breakout to the upside with some volume. Not sure what created that if there was news, but next target's up about 33. That's the next major point there. So the question is it worth risk? Is there a risk reward that's worth it? And that's where it always gets challenging. So if we put a stop there and a target right at about 33. I think it's probably a little bit too far at this moment, but 28.99. Not going to bother color coding these, but so if this pulled back to that 28, or if you're already long, I mean, it looks like the target's probably about 33. So from a technical perspective, and that's all I'm looking for. I'm looking for a quick move to the upside is what I'd be looking for here. But it looks like it's got a little momentum, so. But
And then I'm sorry, I didn't realize the question was about what the head and shoulders pattern means. Tony, you're the pattern expert, so I'll just throw it to you. What does the head and shoulders pattern usually predict?
It predicts a top, basically. Well, and that's the beauty of patterns is there's a head and shoulders and then inverted head and shoulders. They're the same thing. One's bullish, one's bearish. And I've got it for you here. Ready? I'll make this quick, though.
Oh, yeah, I love this stuff.
But basically, we have, if a stock's in an uptrend, right, we get higher highs, higher lows, and then it breaks the previous high, rallies back up. And it's a lot like, I mean, if you think of your own physical body, you got your head and your shoulders, right? That's what the pattern looks. That's why it's called the head and shoulders. And then we draw what's called the neckline, which is between the two troughs there, which would be, if you're thinking of your body right here. If it breaks the neckline, the odds are that it's headed lower. So it's a reversal pattern. So, and that's what we're looking for is if it breaks that neckline, then like I said, the odds are good it's going lower. There's all kinds of volume. There's all kinds of little nuances to it that you want to watch for. But this is by far my favorite. And honestly, this is what I've been pretty much watching for on the overall market, the S&P. If you go back to 2008, there's a very clear head and shoulders that gave us an indication that the reversal was coming. So, so if that shows up with the S&P in a bigger way, then that would definitely be an even bigger red flag for me. But does that answer the question?
Ashton's answer the question. I think it does. Thank you. Okay, so back to the stocks. We had Discovery. You did that one. ONTO. ONTO. I don't know if
ONTO. Onto?
Onto Innovation. I don't even know this one. What is this? Either. Wow, the chart looks amazing. Well, what does this company do? It's a semiconductor. All right, I am unfamiliar with this.
Well, that makes sense. Why they're $100 then? Why they're raging?
Yeah.
So, well, nice little segue. This is perfect. I mean, it's not formed yet, but if this thing was to roll over from here, if it doesn't break out to a new high and it dropped off from here, we'd have a head and shoulders pattern. But right now it's an if. And just like, Aaron was on when we were talking about J&J.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember, well, do you buy before it drops down? It's like, no, you wait for it to break the neckline because J&J turned and went north big time. But, yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, as far as, the ultimate question always comes down to what are you looking for? I mean, are you looking to buy this thing go long term?
I don't know. Wait, who asked that? Yeah, Quantum. Is this a long-term thing? Is it a short-term thing? You have a bullish bias, a bearish bias? Maybe you don't know.
Yeah, if you're looking for a longer-term, position to buy this thing, I'd probably wait for it to either pull back or break out to a new high. If it breaks the highs, then it will probably continue. If not, I'd wait for this thing to pull back. So, of course, they're coming out with earnings here in, 2 or 3 weeks. Earnings can be a wild card. You never know what's going to happen. So, it really, and that's what's hard is, I can analyze it and show you that, if it rolls over, we got a head and shoulders. If it breaks out to a new high, I'd wait for it to pull back to about 95. this little trend line that's there. And there's also some horizontal support right there, around 95. If you're bullish on it long term and you think that it's going to go higher, I'd either wait for it to come back to 95 or wait for it to break out to about 104 or 105. My opinion.
You want to look at PayPal? We could ask about PayPal basically every single day. It's just one of those stocks.
Yeah, this is one I'm cranky. I didn't get in here at 250 on the downside because there's it's not a beautiful descending triangle, but it's not bad. There's lots of these that, it's easy all day long. You can look and see that, woulda, shoulda, coulda. So it's not a good syndrome to deal, but you got to deal with it. Happens all the time. So yeah, it's down. Is it still down about 5? I haven't looked at it because I updated these charts.
Looked at it today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me check for you right now.
Because this chart's updated, but it was right before we started.
It's tech, so it's down. It's down 2.5% today. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's down 4.25. When I updated this, it was down 5. So it's up a little bit from where this chart shows it. Just a little bit, though. But we're breaking that low, which is never a bullish sign. The question becomes at what point, wow, there's a lot of room still on the downside here. And the only real spot, there may be a little bit in here. Because all I'm looking for now, once there's somewhat of a descending triangle here, which is a bearish continuation pattern. So you got, whatever the trend is in place beforehand, which clearly here it's down, we get the same bottoms, right, where we have this flat base and then lower highs. So it's descending. It's a little triangle pattern that's descending. And if it breaks that lower end of the range, then the odds are it's going lower. And the beauty of these is we can get measured moves about 19 points. So if this thing continues, that would be the target. But I think 150 is probably realistic if it continues lower. So there's still some room to the downside on PayPal.
That's the story of the year on PayPal. Room on the downside. We'll do one or two more. Okay. We can do. Well, actually, before I bring it up with Tony, let me look at the chart. Make sure there's an actual. No, I'm not gonna do that one. Too small. Too small. Too NBEV. Too small. Unless you want to look at it, Tony, I guess you're free to. And then we'll do one more. If you let's look at. Is there a Head and Shoulders on the Qs? Churmo wants to know that.
Let's look and see. Well, here, just remember that patterns are very subjective. I would call this more of a double top because you got two peaks that are about the same right there. So, and then this would be the midpoint, which is also the previous high here. So, and we're obviously below that level right now. So I would call it a double top, and it's broken that 380 level. So if it stays below this 380 level, then the odds are we're going to head down. Probably, I think about 350, 353 is the next major level. If it gets back above 381, then we could come back up to 403. So, but that's the battle line's right there at 382. And yesterday the Bears cracked it. So the question is, will the Bulls come back and beat them or not? So, and if they don't, excuse me. If they don't, if it rallies back up here to 382 and just dances there and then starts to roll over, that's when I'd be getting bearish. Either get out of Bulls positions or I'd be getting bearish on it. So simple little roll reversal. I don't know if I've ever talked about that concept here, but they use it more than anything.
Yeah, support becomes resistance. Resistance becomes support. Yeah, one of the most common.
Yeah. And just this is one that just yesterday was beautiful. And it's just a simple little roll reversal trade. It wasn't anything great. It had a triple top on Microsoft, and it had broken it big time there a couple weeks ago. And when it got back up yesterday morning, 318, 319, I jumped on some puts. And then yesterday it was just like off to the races. So simple little concepts like that can make you a lot of money. That's the beauty of technical. So,
All right, we got a hop. Tony Benson, patterns in a flash. Tony,
fast.
glad to know you're feeling better, and talk to you again. Have a good one. Enjoy the long weekend, man.
All right, yeah, you too.
All righty, it is 1:58. We are gonna wrap it up because the Mooner Bus guys are here live in studio. Oh, he's gonna walk in front of the camera. Oh my gosh, he just did that.
Whoa. Not allowed, Ryan.
He just did that. Here. Oh wait. Can we zoom out? No, we can't. Forget that. Sorry. All right. They're here, so we gotta vacate the premises so they can hop on. We're talking about what? Getting paid to game? Is that right? Getting paid to play Axie Infinity. All right. If you're a gamer, you want to get paid to play Axie Infinity. I'm assuming you get paid via NFTs. Did I get that right?
Via crypto.
Via crypto, same thing.
Come
What's
on.
the difference?
Come on.
What's the difference? All right, Ryan McNamara, Logan Ross, the crypto crew coming up next here. So that'll be a wrap for Aaron and I. Hit the like button, please. Thank you. Hit subscribe. I'll be back on in an hour and a half for At the Close. We're off on Monday, so we won't be here. So everyone enjoy the long weekend. Have a long weekend.
You as well, Spencer.
And
Thank you, Easy Mike. Thank you for everyone who's stuck around today. Please smash the like and subscribe if you have not already. Like Spencer said, off on Monday, but we'll see y'all on Tuesday.
or will we? Yeah, we probably will.
Dun, dun, dun.